Welcome viewers, my name is Patience Chigwida from Elevation Empowerment Program. Today we are at Chaltan Home, a home that is run by Charlene Vhuta, where she houses teenage and preteen mothers. The preteen mothers are 13-year-olds who have gotten themselves pregnant. At Chaltan Home, which is based in Harare, Ruwa, Zimbabwe, Charlene runs 3 basic programs for these preteen and teenage mothers: education, psychosocial support, and vocational training. The aim behind these programs is for Charlene and her team to equip these women with basic support for themselves to be able to go out into the society and be able to be women of valor and women of value. Thank you for watching. I'll take you through Charlene's journey as we chat to Charlene. Welcome viewers, welcome Charlene.
Thank you for having me.
We are back again online with your Elevation program. Today we have Charlene Vhuta, who runs a teen and preteen mother's home. Let's hear what Charlene has to say about this home that she runs in Ruwa, Zimbabwe. Charlene, thank you for engaging us in this program. Can you give us a brief background of how you started the Chaltan Home, which is a home for preteen and teenage mothers?
I started the safe house as we prefer to call it a safe house because when we started it initially is because we had done community what we call community outreaches, trying to bring education to teenage mothers. But when we started off, we realized that the consistency of teenage mothers was different from that of regular kids, because these are children with children. So when we asked them how come they don't come to class as regularly as we expected them to, since this was a tour of empowerment, they said we are hungry. And I asked them, why, what do you mean you're hungry? They said, I can't come to school as a teenage mother because I'm supposed to look for food. And I myself, I am hungry. And these people we impregnate us that we supposedly co-husband don't give us food. So we started this safe house to provide maternity care, safe maternity care, to baby preparation and all, to provide education, empowerment, a safe space for teenage mothers to regain their lives.
All right, Charlene, you don't look much older yourself. What drove you to want to give your attention to preteen mothers and teenage mothers?
My background. My mom was a teenage mother.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what pushed me. And then when we started when the UNICEF Generation Unlimited launched the competition in 2018, they asked us to solve a problem with regards to women empowerment, education and employment. So I looked at everything that was possible with regards to women, and I saw that there is a gap when it comes to teenage mothers. It's not a group that we're specifically looking at, but that actually needs attention.
Okay. So you are a product of a teenage mother,
Yes, yes.
All right. If you can share a bit, how old was your mom when she was impregnated?
Around 16.
Okay.
Yeah.
That must have been quite tough. 16, you are young and
Yes.
you don't understand anything.
Yes.
All right. So when you started this program, was this just a self-drive, or there was a program that made you want to start to run the home for teenage mothers?
Initially, it was the prize for the UNICEF Generation Unlimited program. But when I got in, it was now the passion. It was realizing that I'm not just dealing with just women. I'm dealing with children and their lives. And the more you dealt with them, whether it was giving them education, they somehow become dependent on you.
Okay.
And so you can't really walk away. So it's both passion and knowing that to a certain extent, I'm now responsible for some people who I cannot let down. So what drove me is the need to know that now I have a responsibility. If I started something with them, I have to finish it off, because at the end of the day, they still have to go out and someone is going to ask them, how are you taking care of yourself? If I don't provide them with an instrument to take care of themselves through the safe house, they're going to remain vulnerable.
All right.
Yeah.
When did you start Chaltan Home for the teenage mothers?
October 2019, end of 2019.
And you started with how many preteen mothers or teenage mothers?
I had one.
You had just one?
One pregnant one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe if you can give us a brief background, how old was she? Where was she coming from?
She was 16. She was coming from Epworth. And apparently that was actually her second baby. And it was as a result because she was coming from the apostolic churches where they say you shouldn't use family planning, birth control. So she was sort of forced to to have another baby.
So at 16, this was her second child?
This was her second child.
The first child, how old did she?
She had the first child at around 14, 15.
Okay.
Yeah. And this was her second child, but she still had no idea or what to do. So when I brought her here, it was a case of domestic violence, a case of homelessness.
Okay.
And yeah, and I think so.
All right. If you can maybe tell us, what was it like then to start the home? Was it because of this young girl, or you still had the passion within you to want to start something, and this girl came in and she was how you started running the home?
To be honest, it was because of the girls I saw in Epworth. Because they kept telling me, one would come today and say I've been beaten, the other will come and say I'm hungry, the other will come. There were so many issues, and the question is, how do I solve it in an environment that I know that whatever solution I'm going to give is going to last? Okay. So the safe house was a place that I knew that if we started, at least whatever we're going to do is going to be sustainable.
All right. Tell us about the safe house. You are a young girl yourself. How did you get the safe house? Who is spending for the safe house, the food, the rent, and everything that you need in the safe house?
Basically the safe house is a rented property. Okay. At the moment, we work with individual funders and donors. So it's like people basically donate out of their will. Okay. So we have individuals that pick out and say, I'm going to sponsor this, I'm going to fund for food, I'm going to fund for the education classes. So it's basically a number of ladies that have come and pitched up. But I think what we struggle with is an issue of commitment with regards to issues like rental. Sometimes we have inconsistencies in places like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
At any given moment, how many mothers do you have at the safe house?
At any given moment, we usually have about 15 and about 10 to 12 babies.
And these are the early stages of their pregnancies, mid-stage, or like the later stage of their pregnancy?
Usually they come in at about 6 months pregnant. That's when they usually come in. I think when people are taking care of them, or they realize that they are now desperate. Okay.
How do people know about Charltan Home? How are you having so many mothers at any given moment? How do they know that there's a safe house for teenage mothers?
Usually we work with community workers in these places that we work with. But what I've also discovered is that girls themselves have started to know we exist. I'm not sure about how that part, but I've heard that some of the girls we take, or those that call us on their own, they go into someone explain their problem. They said, oh, I heard about this place. Okay. And that's how they eventually get in touch.
Sorry, you keep mentioning about Epworth. Are most of your girls coming from Epworth, or you have girls from numerous places in Zimbabwe?
Most of our girls actually come from Hopley.
Oh, okay.
Hopley.
Right.
Hopley community and Epworth as well. But sometimes we have those that coming from different areas.
Do you have any that have come to the safe house from outside Harare?
Yes, we have one that is coming from Zhishavani.
Okay.
Yes.
How many months pregnant is she?
She came because she gave birth. She had a preterm baby. She gave birth at 5 months, and then after she gave birth at 5 months, the grandparents that were taking care of her chased her away, and then she slept at a bus stop. So a person whom I lent with in university is the one who found her at the bus stop. By the time they got here, it was around 12 p.m. But the baby's feet were already too cold.
To mean the baby had passed on?
No, actually, cold from the weather. But then she was also losing color. But you think by the time they got here, we managed to figure it out.
Okay. So Charlene, tell me, what is your day like on any given day? This is Charltan Home. Where do you start from?
We do our prayers. Okay. We do our prayers in the morning at around 6, and then after that I try and take care of the things my baby needs from around 6 to 9. As from 9 a.m. I'm here, and it's typing proposals, it's trying to figure out what they need, and basically them are telling me what they need for the next 8 hours till about 8 p.m.
Okay. So do you deal with these girls individually, or it's a blanket way of doing things? Are you attending to these teenage mothers according to their needs?
We have a program. So the girls, their day basically runs on education. Education is the main thrust. Okay. So when they come in, it's from around 6 to 8. They're preparing whatever they need. They eat as well. And then after that, it's from 9 a.m. I take classes with, when they come in, the first group that comes in, usually they have a hard time with English. Okay. So I take up English classes from around 9 a.m. till 12 p.m. with the new ones. And then those that are already they're like the ones that we have that are writing O-level. Their teachers come in from 9 a.m. as to 4 p.m. They'll be coming in doing geography, whatever it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds interesting. So you have teachers that are actually coming in to come and helping these teen mothers.
They're actually paid. They come in on salary. They are paid by one of our volunteers. She pays them for them to come and teach the girls.
So what they're studying from, is it from grade 1 or normally because they are teens, they've probably done all their primary school education and now they are...
We are usually starting with them from secondary school.
Which is like Form 1?
Form 1. That's the basic we start with.
Okay.
Form 1, yeah.
So it's not that it's just a safekeeping house, but you've also made sure that you educate these girls.
Yeah, education is the key thrust, because what we're trying to do is we develop a woman who's going to go out there and still be able to stand for herself and know what she wants. And if she's questioned or put in a position where she's vulnerable, she knows, like, right now I'm vulnerable and I need to get out of here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you have girls that have actually gone onto A level, passed well, and now I have rejoined the society?
At the moment or from the months before, we have girls that have passed their Form 4s, but unfortunately we had no sponsorship to get them forward. So some of them have managed to get jobs in different places. That's what they have done, you know, like TM or whatever area they've gone back to.
Okay.
But as for A level and scholarship, we're still looking for scholarships for the girls that we have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, viewers, for staying tuned in. After the break, we'll be back to hear more from Charlene Vhuta of Chaltan Home. Welcome back, viewers. Today we are at Chaltan Home, a home and a safe house for pre and teenage mothers. Charlene, from the first segment, you spoke to us about how you are very keen on having these girls educated. You also highlighted that you've got 3 13-year-old girls that have gotten scholarships to go to a formal school. Maybe can you talk to us more about these girls?
So I'm not allowed to mention the school.
Okay.
But so we have a lady who has offered a scholarship to 3 or 4 13-year-olds. So they're in 13-year-olds. So we have three 13-year-olds that we currently have that have baby boys. They're all born at the same time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So right now they're doing grade 5, and yeah, they're doing grade 5. So. Yes.
So what's the arrangement? Do these girls stay at the school or they stay here at the safe house and they go to school?
They stay here at the safe house and they go to school every day.
So the people that partnered with the education for these girls, they're supplying everything from uniforms to stationery?
The school is actually supplying everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, well done for them.
Yeah, but I think the only problems you find is sometimes books and stuff, but uniforms, transport, they're catered for by the school.
Okay, well done. So it shows that at the safe house, you're not only keen about looking for after them and their children, but also making sure that they're well educated.
Yes.
Okay. Given a chance, what do you think would be the cause of the pre-teenage pregnancies?
I want to say the basic reason that everyone doesn't think is a reason: poverty.
Okay.
Hunger. So I'll mention, I think, 4 reasons. We have this culture that we have in Zimbabwe called kutizira.
Okay.
So we have.
Can you explain what kutizira is all about? So
in Zimbabwe, if a child gets pregnant, parents usually say they should go to whoever has impregnated them.
Okay.
The girls that are getting impregnated up from the age of 13 to the age of around 18. And then when they get there, the boy who has impregnated them doesn't have the capacity, neither can they take care of them. And then the moment they do that, the girl is left homeless and desperate. Okay. And then that's when we have a teenage mother homeless and experiencing every sort of thing. The second problem, the second thing causing this is the separation of parents, divorces. When parents separate, it's a matter of who's going to take the child and who's not. The moment a girl child is left vulnerable, you're leaving them vulnerable to basically to sex. Okay. To sex, which is leading to STIs, which is leading for them to get pregnant, thinking marriage is the way to the solution. Okay. The third thing that we have is poverty and hunger. So what's going on is as the poverty judgment level in Zimbabwe is increasing, families want to survive. And if there's a girl child, she's going to think, for me to make things easier for my family, I have to go and get married. Okay. And for them, marriage, they're not thinking lobola. They're thinking, I'm going to go there, get pregnant, and now I have a husband, things are going to get better. But the full picture turns out that when they get there, it's not a marriage, and there are still kids that don't even have an idea of what's going on. And we have another teenage mother at place. So you find that teenage mothers are being caused by poverty, hunger. Because if you ask any teenage mother right now, why did you get pregnant? They'll tell you the usual basic reason.
Okay.
Is I was hungry.
All right. I was desperate.
I was desperate. I was hungry. And I thought, he's like, one girl that we have was raped here. She literally said that I needed food. And I asked him, if you get me food, he said, if you come and sleep with me, I'll give you food. And at that moment, I wanted food.
All right.
So the moment he gave me food, I didn't know that, especially that it's actually one of the 13-year-olds. The moment he gave me food, I didn't know afterwards that I'm going to get pregnant. Yeah.
Okay. So from your view, do they understand what it's like to be engaging sexually? Do they understand?
Anyone for most of them who are 15 and younger, they don't understand what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah. But maybe those who are above 16, they know what they did. They know what it is to engage in sexual activity. But anyone who, especially for those who are under 15, most of them do not understand.
They do not understand. Wow. There you get it, viewers. Like she's saying, culturally, we have a situation that is on the ground, and we need the public to be aware and take care of their children. All right, Charlene, maybe if you can also give us a brief background of how you are able to cope on a daily basis. Do you have projects that you're doing to empower these girls? They're now educated, like you're saying, you're making sure that they're educated. Other than that, are you also now equipping them with projects that can help them? Should they leave the safe house? Should they want to continue to stay at the safe house and still be of value to the safe house?
So we work with 3 ways. We have education. We work with 3 pillars.
All right.
Education, vocational training, and psychosocial support.
All right.
So on education, we're talking about the basic education we've talked about. And then vocational skills. Right now we are doing sewing, basically emphasizing on sewing. Rotary Msasa has funded us for that, with the machines for the girls to start their sewing project. So it allows the girls to learn how to sew. But the idea is they want to create a company of their own, okay, that employs them right after they're done with the 1 year that we are rehabilitating them here.
Okay.
We have also been sponsored to start with the baking project, although that is not officially started because of issues of electricity and the bill of electricity and all. But otherwise, the baking trays and everything that's needed for that has already been initiated.
Okay.
So, and the other thing that we really do with them is gardening, but then we have water issues. But here and there, when our water is settled, we're definitely doing gardening with them. The psychosocial support covers their mental health.
All right.
Most of the kids that we have here are traumatized. They don't understand what it is to have their baby. They want the baby, but the moment the baby cries a lot, the moment the baby is acting like they're acting, they're confused about what's happening.
Okay.
So we really work on their mental health and their basic provision of clothes, maternity care, postnatal care, and all that.
For the psychosocial support, do you have people that are coming to do pro bono, or people that you actually pay to come and help these girls with?
At the moment, we have volunteers doing pro bono. They come in and help us. The counselors come in and volunteer pro bono.
All right. Your counseling, at what stage do you start counseling for these girls?
Usually when they come in, I do the initial assessment. How's the girl coping? And then after that, I then recommend a counselor. Because you find there's some of them that have really adjusted to whatever has happened to them. What they really can't figure out is, what do I do now? That you can deal with. But a girl who is still stuck in, why am I pregnant? Why do I have a baby? I'm a bad person. Now that person needs counseling.
All right.
So those are the ones we usually direct to counseling. But it's after the stage of about 3 weeks, that's when you notice how a child is coping. Okay.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you realize that this girl needs
psychosocial support?
Psychosocial support.
Yes, and this one doesn't.
Yes.
I think on a scale of 1 to 10, we usually recognize it, I think, at about 6 or 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
6 or 5, as in months?
No, weeks.
6 weeks after they've come into the place.
6, about actually 3 weeks to 6 weeks. That's
Okay.
when you can tell, because some of them are really angry. You can tell how much they are always angry at the other people.
All right.
So that anger, if it's not worked on, it goes on to the baby. Like we had one particular girl at the same time who would beat her baby very, very, very violently.
Oh.
But whenever she hit her baby, she would refer to the father. you should go back to your father. He's the one who did this to me. He's the one who did this to me. So it's a more of an anger issue that needs to be solved.
All right.
Yeah.
Other than the social support that you're giving to these girls, in a nutshell, do you think as a society we are doing much to help preteen and teenage mothers?
The number of teenage mothers that we have in Zimbabwe, the first thing we do is we blame them.
Okay.
If a teenager is pregnant, we look at who's the perpetrator. That's our only concentration in society. We look at how did you get pregnant. After that, we don't care about whatever happens to the child, girl child, and the baby. If you put a post right now on Facebook saying there's a 18-year-old who's pregnant, everyone will ask who's the perpetrator. No one is going to ask what happens to the girl. Secondly, this culture of kutizira, I don't think we have gone through it enough to figure out it's actually making girls vulnerable. In as much as it is saying take responsibility to the guy, it's making girls vulnerable. Most teenage mothers and their babies do not have birth certificates.
Yes.
And our law only allows a child to have a birth certificate at it basically allows the mom to have an ID at 16. That means if a 13-year-old has a baby, the baby can only access a birth certificate after the mother turns 16.
Okay.
So we are not doing enough, whether it's about advocacy, whether we're speaking about the law or as a society, no. And if we're talking about teenage programs, teenage mother programs, we are doing a lot with regards to orphans. But teenage mothers, no, because as long as we look at them, they are the ones to blame.
They are the ones that have caused this on
themselves. So they should pay for it.
So basically it means that even our lawmakers and the society, we need to start having a different view altogether about teenage pregnancy.
Yeah, because actually I think I was speaking to a friend today saying that the only view that we have is that we have that old view that usually used to run within NGOs that says early childhood marriage, where we are saying girls are being sold off into marriage. I will argue again and keep on arguing that the current state we have in Africa is girls selling themselves off to marriage. The reason is they're trying to feed themselves. They're marrying themselves off thinking if I go there, I won't be hungry.
All right.
So in the past, we had girls being married off. Now, the way poverty is just accumulating, it means the more it does that, a girl child is going to grow up thinking the only way I'm going to get out of this is if I marry or have a baby of my own and this person is going to cater for me. But that's not true.
How have you been able to keep the girls in a safe house? Have you had situations where they've run away? Have you had situations where they thought being educated is not important to me?
I've had I've never had a runaway girl, but I've had situations of girls that come in, they don't know whether they want to get educated, whether they want to do vocational training. They don't know what they're good at. Those are common. And I think there's one particular girl that will literally say to me, I said, what do you want? She said to me, do what you want with me. I said, you have a choice. We don't do what we want with you. You do what you want with yourself. When she said to me, do what you want with me, for me, it was an outcry to what every other teenage mother is told in society. Once they're pregnant, a person says to them, this is what we've made them to think. She voiced out a need and how exactly we see them in society. It's basically the discrimination way we do it. As if it's light, but we are destroying a person's mind. And whatever we have said is going to affect the child. That is the problem with destroying a woman. Whatever child they are carrying is going to be affected by the same mindset. And how many teenage mothers do we have in Zimbabwe? How many of them do not have birth certificates? How many of their children do not have birth certificates? And how many of them do not have a sense of honor and integrity to tell themselves they're a person who deserves to make a choice.
Yes, and the person who's of
value. Exactly. Yes. So if a child gets pregnant, we need to say you're still there. You're still there inside.
You're still unique.
You're still unique. You still have a choice.
Okay. Charlene, tell me, given an opportunity, what would you go out there and tell the society? What would you advocate for, especially for the teenage mothers and the preteen mothers? Like we're saying, we've got the 13-year-olds. These are preteen mothers. What would you go out there and tell the society? The
first thing I would tell them is it doesn't matter they're a child. She's still a child. When you look at them, don't see the children that they have. See the child. And then whatever else decision you want to make about them, do it as if you're making it for a child. Because even after having the baby, I can promise you they're still a child.
Okay.
Yeah. And one thing I'll tell society is, however a woman is, as long as she can bear a child, whatever you say, is going to impact the child she's carrying. So we should be, as society, we should be very, very careful with our words. And being a teenage mother doesn't mean a person is disposable.
Staying with these girls around you, from everything that you're trying to deposit into them, what do you see after they are done with the vocational training? You've done the social support with them. What do you think?
I see amazing human beings. I see human beings who start to ask me, so I can actually use a fork and knife? So, ma'am, I can. Are you saying if I learn, I can actually become a doctor like me? I see people with dreams. I see people who want stuff they never thought they could have. I see people who can look at their children and look at themselves and say, like a particular girl say to me, are you saying I can now wear jeans? For this is the tiny things you take. But she said to me, ma'am, are you saying now I can wear jeans and tennis like every other child, even if I have a baby? I'm like, yes, you can.
Wow.
I see individuals who have discovered themselves and who know they can.
Okay. So we can actually say that when they come to the safe house, you want to put these things in them to be able to value themselves, to be able to realize that being a teenage mother or a preteen mother has got nothing to do with who they will later become in society.
It has more to do with themselves and the choices they make.
All right, Charlene, this is very empowering.
Thank you.
How do you then, when you go to bed, tell me when you go to bed, what goes through your mind?
Honestly, I just want to sleep. There's a lot of crying in my ears.
Probably it has become very melodious to you. Can you do a day without hearing the cries?
No, that's to be honest. But when I go to bed, I say to myself, I hope I'm doing enough. I hope I'm giving them enough of what they can take out there and run their own race without depending on another person.
Okay.
I want from them, what I crave the most is independence without dependence.
Wow.
If every girl I get out of here is independent without dependence, whether they've passed their O level, whether they know how to sew enough, as long as their mindset can say I can do it, I think I've done enough.
Do you have one that you can say, yes, this is our product from Charltan Home?
Yes, we do, but she actually went to South Africa.
Oh, wow.
She actually came through here last week.
Okay.
To say I've come to see the girls, but she's now working in South Africa. So she said I came to see the girls. She's working under Mukuru. She's like, I came to see the girls. But what she said to me, she's like, you know what? I'm not going to go back to that man again. I'm like, why? She said, at the age of 14, 15, I didn't know what being pregnant means. But now if someone was to tell me, you're supposed to get pregnant, I know I have a choice. I can say no.
Okay.
I can say no. So for me, as long as I can give them independence without dependence, I'm done.
Oh, wow. Well done. Thank you, viewers. We'll be back after a short break. Welcome back, viewers. Welcome to our third segment. Today we have Charlene Vhuta from Charltan Home. She runs a home for teenage mothers and preteen mothers. The preteen mothers, I'm still amazed. These are 13-year-old girls. Charlene, given a choice, what would you want to tell the world? What are the things that you're expecting the world to assist you with?
At the moment, we have 4 main needs. Our main need is transport. For the last 3.5 years, we've been running everything on foot. Whether it's labor or whether it's a dead baby who's
labor dead. As in you, when the ladies go to labor.
Yeah, one is carrying a bag on their heads, the other one we are trying to do everything. Most of the things, if we don't have anyone as funded a taxi, we are doing everything on foot. If it's a donation that has come in, we are doing it on foot. If it's a baby who's sick, we are doing it on foot. Transportation is our main need. Okay. It's our main need. The second thing that we need is water. So you find that Ruwa has a hard time with water. Okay. So we have a well, but unfortunately it runs off as soon as the rainy season is done. So you find that the ladies have to go to a community tank with buckets on their heads or with a wheelbarrow, which is our first transport. We just died. So it's actually broken right now as I'm speaking. So it's that. So we need water. We don't have water supply and we have babies, which is very, very risky at this moment. And so we need a borehole tank and a way forward with the water issue. And the third thing that we need is a bigger house. At the moment, as I'm speaking to you right now, the other community we work with, which I'm not going to mention by name, has got 60 adolescent mothers and 20 who are pregnant. We cannot take them.
Can you come again?
60 teenage mothers, 20 are pregnant. We cannot take them in at the moment because our space is little. We need a bigger house. Whether it's a rented house or we are talking about land, but we need a bigger house. At the moment, as I'm speaking right now, we had to turn away a 14-year-old mother with twins because we don't have space. Oh, wow. We don't have space. So we are limited because of the amount of space we had, yet the need is greater. The fourth thing that we are struggling with is food. Our monthly supply of food used to be little, but things like mealie meal, cooking oil, basics, things like rice, those things run out faster, especially mealie meal. Because they're having porridge in the morning, they're having sadza in the evening. So our food supply is very, very little. Throughout the year, we are doing a donations call out and stuff like that. And then generally, our ladies do not have shoes, do not have jackets, do not have socks when it's winter. It's easy for people to do baby donations, but for people to donate shoes
for the
teen mothers themselves, people hardly think of donating the shoes and the jerseys for winter and socks. That's all right. And I think the last thing is medication for our babies, things like paracetamol and stuff. We don't have indoor medication such that if a baby's temperature is high, we could,
Okay. So, for instance, then how do you run your day? You've mentioned issue on water. You've mentioned issue on food. You've mentioned issue on medication. What do you want the world to know and understand about these needs?
So what happens is if we don't have enough food, I remember at one point in August, we had no food at all. The only thing we had, it's like you have veggies, we had vegetable, we had tomatoes, we had, I think, a bit of onion. So we sort of made a timetable with what we have. So in the morning you would eat, they would take porridge without, I think didn't have sugar, it had salt, so that's what they would have. In the afternoon they would have chimodo, the bread that you bake, but it didn't have sugar, so it was basically waterish. And then in the evening it was sadza with vegetables. So it's like we make do with what we have. But I remember at that point in time, I went down on my knees and said, God, I'm done. Because that's the point you get at. And then with things like paracetamol and medication, what we usually do is if one person has got $2, they go by, and then if we have 6 babies that are coughing, so we each give everyone a teaspoon. If it runs out, that's it, but every baby gets a teaspoon. Every baby gets a teaspoon. So it's basically from the little that we have, each baby has to have enough. Each baby and mother. If it's jerseys, we check who's got more, who's got less. If it's shoes, we do the same. The one who needs them at the moment is the one we give to the most, and that's how it works. All
right. Any other plea, or maybe you just want to give us a brief background on what are you looking at for Charltan?
I'm looking at a place. Basically, it's a center that we're looking at a stand that accommodates the schooling, that accommodates the vocational training in all forms, computer skills, sewing skills, baking skills. I'm looking at a center with a proper clinic for initial labor pains for the girls, so that we know exactly where we are with the baby and the girl, so that we don't have any baby or any stillbirths anymore. And
have you had stillbirths?
Yes, we've had twice. Twice
shame.
Actually, and all things related to transport have caused that.
Shame.
So yes, we're looking at a center and a big stand that allows us to do farming, our own gardening, certain things that don't have to be bought. The girls can develop skills.
All right. Anything else you'd like the public to know about?
I think they should just know that if they do engage with us, this is a commitment. It's not a daily thing. And it's not coming in to check how did they girls get pregnant. No. It's to develop a relationship and to know the girls as people, first and foremost, as children, and not as just muskana uyu akaitis kwamana.
There you have it, viewers. We've come to the end of our program today. Like I said, we're speaking to Charlene Vhuta from Chaltan Home, a home that houses teenage and preteen mothers. She has aired herself out and has made it known on the needs that they need for their home. Make it a point try and reach out to Charltan Home for the teenage mothers and the preteen mothers and see how you can help them. We would like for you to click, like, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much, viewers.